They say hitting rock bottom can be the best thing to happen to you, right? Well, what if your rock bottom is a spinal surgery that pulls the plug on your DJ career overnight? That's exactly what happened to me. And now I'm on a journey to turn my biggest setback into the ultimate comeback. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tiffany Quinn. I am a DJ, producer and radio host. For the past 6 years, I have been performing across the UK and Europe, working with some incredible people, brands and events. And I'd recently taken the plunge to pursue music full-time, and it was going pretty well until August 2024. I had a very unfortunate accident that caused a C7 spinal fracture, and all of a sudden everything changed, and I'm now on a new journey professionally and personally that I have decided to kind of open up and share, in the hope that some of the lessons I've learned along the way can help you regardless of the career that you're in. So let's get into it. Music has always been a very important part of my life, but I didn't get into DJing until quite late in the game. After graduating with a neuroscience degree in 2018, I started working full-time in science communication, and I absolutely loved my job, but I was craving something creative outside of the 9 to 5. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for, but I knew that I wanted it to be something around music. As a complete fluke, I saw an ad for a 6-week DJ course. I had quite an extensive call with Neil, who heads up BPM DJ courses. Whoop whoop, shout out to you. And after that amazing call, I decided to go for it and book on the course. After the first lesson, I was absolutely hooked. And within a few months of finishing that course, I played my first small gig. And it truly unlocked something inside of me that I don't actually know if I knew I was searching for it, but it was definitely the start of something quite beautiful. Within a year, I was playing in clubs and supporting local events and venues in East Anglia. When the pandemic hit, I pivoted to radio and live streaming to kind of further hone my skills, but also start building up that community and support network around me. When the pandemic was finished, I moved to London and really started to build up some momentum with the gigs and opportunities that I was getting. So fast forward to 2024, I was securing international gigs in Milan, Copenhagen, Ireland, Barcelona. By the summer of 2024, I was definitely building a lot more momentum. I wasn't by any means blowing up, but I had back-to-back festival bookings. I was gearing up for debut in Ibiza and Greece, and yeah, I was really in a good place with it all. But then, unfortunately, I had my accident, and all of a sudden, I was in a hospital bed, facing spinal surgery and months of recovery and rehabilitation. And it was the first time in years that I was forced to really stop, and my career was kind of put on pause overnight. Recovery gave me a lot of time to reflect on everything that I had experienced up until that point, and I wanted to share 3 of the biggest lessons that I have learned and how it's changed the way that I'm approaching coming back into the game 6 months after my accident. So lesson number 1, look after yourself. Burnout is not a flex. I cannot stress this enough. Despite how much fun that I was having before the accident, looking back, I can see very clearly now that I was on the verge of a serious burnout. Life as a DJ sounds so glamorous, and it is fun. It's such a privilege to be able to do that, especially full time. But behind the scenes, it is such a grind, especially in a city like London. Music is such a small part of what we do now, the way that the industry is set up. You're your own booking agent, manager, social media expert, content creator, the list goes on. There's so many hats that you have to put on, and it really can take its toll. There's no blueprint for how to do this. I think you've got to bundle your way through and figure out a way that works best for you. But that can really take its toll, especially if you're on top of that not looking after your physical and mental health. I certainly wasn't, and I think I was really scared almost to slow down and take a breather, because I thought if I stopped, everything else would stop as well. Even, after the accident, I was more concerned with missing out on events and the impact that my absence would have on my career, more so than I was concerned with how I was physically doing at that time. And that's quite sad to look back on. And it took me quite a while to break out of that mentality. But now that I have, I see how unhealthy that was, and I'm kind of doing everything in my power to not go back to being that way. Ultimately, it's really important to carve time out for you to stop and regroup. As I learned, opportunities don't disappear. They will be there when you're ready to come back to them. And progress isn't linear. So sometimes you have to take a step back to move forward, and that's totally okay. And I don't think we always talk about that enough. And I was definitely confusing activity with progress, then don't directly correlate. And I think going forward, I definitely am working smarter rather than harder. That brings me quite nicely to lesson 2, which is to be selective with your time and energy. I think regardless of the career that you're in, it's really important to be clear on your vision and what you want to get out of your life. For me, this involved asking myself questions like, what kind of DJ do I want to be? What kind of events do I want to play? What do I want my career to look like in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years time? What events have I enjoyed working for and not enjoyed working for, and why? Who inspires me and lifts me up? Who drains my energy? Sometimes they can be quite difficult questions, but ultimately it gives you the ability to create an environment that enables you to thrive if you focus your time and energy on what really matters. Another part of this that's really important is setting boundaries. I am by nature a people pleaser, so I've had to work really hard to learn how to say no and be okay with saying no to people, and learning that the world does not implode if you do that. And not only is it empowering and motivating, but I've also learned that people respect people who respect themselves. While I was on bed rest, I used the time to really work through these questions that I mentioned and set some goals for 2025 and the steps that I needed to take in order to achieve them. For me, this involved, redoing my logo, redoing my website, designing some business cards, making my own electronic press kit, putting some time into production, because that took a massive backseat when I was busy playing gigs every single week. And it sounds like a lot, but I just, did bit by bit over the course of 6 months. There were some days where I did nothing but watch Netflix and rest. And then there were other days where I had a lot more energy and motivation. So, it really was more about setting clear objectives and taking the time to do things properly and see them through to the end. And not only was that really good for my mental health, but it also allowed me to put really strong foundations in place for when I was ready to come back into the real world. Lesson number 3, do not let fear get in the way. You need to let go of rules and expectations and lean into uncertainty. It's a cliche for a reason, but growth and change doesn't happen unless you get outside of your comfort zone. You've got to take risks in order to learn, what works and what doesn't, what you like, what you don't like. And you can't grow if you ultimately are too scared to change your life. But sometimes I think, what also gets wrapped up in that is this obsession with how we're perceived by everyone else. I think social media has kind of really caused us to become quite self-obsessed. Don't get me wrong, it's a great tool. I get most of my work through Instagram, and I never really thought that would happen. And I think if you learn to use tools in the right way, it can be really great. But you've got to have a really healthy boundary with these things. There's definitely a balance. I'm definitely not immune to it. I think we are sometimes asking ourselves the wrong questions. You know, should I post this? Should I say this? How does this look? What is everyone else doing? But comparing yourself to other people is not only exhausting, inauthentic, but it's completely unnecessary. And you know, your journey is your own journey. No one understands that better than you. No one is thinking about you as much as you are, and no one can back you better than you can. So I think, you know, you really have to lean into that and stop being afraid to do things on your own terms. Once I started blocking out the noise and, you know, stopped worrying about what I thought I should be doing and started doing what I wanted to do, things very much fell into place quite quickly. My first official booking after recovery was my debut all night long at the Jazz Cafe, which is an iconic institution in London, one of my favourite venues. I've been going there for years and years and years, so it was such a privilege to be asked to do that, and it was such a meaningful project to work towards building that set for that event during the last few months of my recovery. Since then, I've also opened up Room 1 in Fabric with my back-to-back bestie OC, which is incredible. I have been booked for a festival in the Alps. I've been rebooked to play in Greece. I have my debut single No Clue coming out on Pogo House Records in March. I'm working on another release with a hero of mine in the house and garage scene. There's so much going on now, and I feel like I've really got my mojo back, and I'm in a, you know, stable and positive place. But it's crazy to me how quickly things have turned around. And you know, if you'd have told me 6 months ago that this is where I would be, I just don't think I would believe you. It's crazy. And I say all of this not to brag, but it's really to bring home the point that, you know, you can really do anything that you set your mind to, and you can come back from anything if you really want to. You know, there's something to be said for how poignant hitting rock bottom could be. And while I wouldn't wish it on anyone, how many times have we heard stories of people having these epiphanies or creating their best art or just generally turning their life around after experiencing, you know, a period of really, really tough times. I think, you know, you cannot control what happens to you in life, but all you can do is control how you navigate through it and how you choose to react to situations. And really leaning into that is really powerful, and it's been such a game changer for me. I ultimately created this channel for two reasons. The first, to hold myself accountable and to have something to look back on, because I think that, you know, it's very hard to stay present all of the time. When you're striving to be successful at something, you're often always looking at the next thing, you know, just constantly moving on. It's like, tick this off, what's next, what's next, what's next. And I think by making these videos and sharing progress updates and other stuff on here, it not only gives me kind of a bank of things to look back on over the years, but also forces me to really like take stock in everything that I'm doing and being more present. So that's definitely a huge motivating factor for this. But the second reason is that, yes, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, as we all do, because that's what learning is all about. But I've also got a lot right over the years. And I think by being open and transparent about everything, you know, I hope that it will help others too, like regardless of whether you're a DJ, producer, general creative, in finance, you know, whatever you're doing, we're all ultimately looking for ways to connect with one another. But sometimes that can be as simple as empathizing with someone else's journey and understanding what elements you can take from that and apply to your own. So yeah, whether you love music, whether you're an aspiring creative, or whether you just want to see someone rebuilding after a tough setback, you know, I really hope that there's something for everyone that they can resonate with on this channel. In terms of music, you'll soon learn that I don't subscribe to labels. My sound's very much rooted in house and garage, but I love disco, I love global grooves, I love amapiano, I love it. I just love music. So, you know, I'm all about kind of creating the vibe more than subscribing to particular genres. But if you stick around, yeah, you can definitely hear some regular mixes by me. I will be giving some DJ tips, production tips, behind the scenes moments, and sneak peeks of original music. We're gonna have it all on this channel. So yeah, if you like the sound of that, hit the like and subscribe button to follow the journey. And I would also love to hear from you if you have any questions on anything that I have spoken about in this video, if you have any requests for me to dig a little deeper into anything in subsequent videos, please just let me know in the comments. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.